You believe that making money is a key indicator of success and masculinity. 3, 2, 1. Hello, hello, hello. Isn't it a beautiful day?
This is a nice room, dude. I've
Yeah.
seen videos of you recording episodes with you, or with other people in this room, but I've never actually been here, so...
Yeah, this is as
pleasant.
best as a quasi recording studio as I have. Is
Yeah.
this room? Most recordings have either been in here or my actual room.
Right.
Which
You got a plant in the background.
yeah,
kinda
and
sick.
some paintings. It's a nice setup actually. I do like it in here.
There's Jesus.
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Big fan. Okay, so what are we doing today?
So today, we're gonna have maybe a little bit more fun. Just kind of like
That was a rhetorical question, by the way. I do know what we're doing, but go ahead.
fair
Take it
enough.
off.
We're gonna kind of sort of play like a game. Not would
sort of
you
a guessing
rather?
game. Sort of would
Yeah,
you,
it was
like get to know each other.
yeah,
Kinda.
exactly.
We already know each other pretty well.
If you didn't know, we're
We're actually blood
related.
relatives. Yes.
Yeah,
We're brothers, in fact.
Yeah,
if this
I'm
is your
his
first
older
time,
brother. Yeah, if you
so-
never knew that,
Yeah, who knows? Maybe this is the first
That's
video
true.
somebody stumbles across. We're brothers. He's a monk.
a
I'm
lot of
not.
people do say we don't look alike at all.
No, we don't.
So if
We
you've
don't.
watched and you didn't pick up, that's how we know each other.
Exactly.
I was born, and then he was born to the same parents.
mom, same dad too. It's
Yeah.
really important stuff.
So, anyways,
we can only assume. So,
yeah,
okay, but what
the
we're
fact that
doing?
we look so dissimilar.
Yeah, I know, a little sus. But,
Anyways, yeah,
we
go ahead.
are. Oh yeah, we know each other pretty well, but basically we're testing our knowledge of each other through this kind of quick questionnaire game, where basically what we've done is we've each written down 5 questions for the other person, written in statement form.
Yep.
So we'll read it off, and then we're gonna like count down to 3. Like we can just do like 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
And give our answers.
But we expect the other person to also be the answer.
Exactly.
So let's say, for instance, I said to Nate, like, you prefer Androids to iPhones. 3, 2, 1. Strongly agree.
Right.
And
I would answer 2 though. I just couldn't even think of an answer there.
Oh, okay.
There's a scale. There's 5 possible answers. So there's strongly disagree,
Yeah.
slightly disagree, neutral, slightly agree, and strongly agree.
Yeah. So
between those 5, we're gonna
yeah.
see how well we know each other.
okay. So why don't you go first?
Okay. We can just go back and forth.
Yeah.
All right. As far as fitness goes, you prefer strength over aesthetic physique. 3, 2, 1.
Slightly disagree.
Okay.
Hey, there we go.
Yes,
Yeah. No, I
yes.
do. Yeah. That's mainly because like absolute strength can often like slow you down.
Mm-hmm.
Like like the huge bodybuilder guys I know, or some of the guys I just know from school who are like serious lifters.
Yeah.
They're a little slower,
Mm-hmm.
and I would definitely prefer to have a little less muscle mass
Be a little
if
quick.
it also means I can be a runner
Sure.
or faster.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently training for a marathon, which means I'm kind of swinging almost the other direction,
Mm-hmm.
and I also don't love that. I don't want to
wanna
be
be in the middle,
super
kinda.
skinny either.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely athletic physique, toned. That's kind of
Mhm.
that's the thing. So I don't want to be built. I want to be toned.
Right.
That's I would say that's
Ripped.
kind of
You want to strive for ripped.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ripped is like the extreme of toned, I think.
Okay, yeah, no, that's where I would go.
Okay, it looks good. I mean, it looks good on
Yeah.
you. And it's always nice to have a 6-pack, which
Agreed.
you definitely have better abs than I do. But,
I don't know about that. When you came out of the water, when we went into that like freezing cold glacier water.
That's because it was freezing cold, so my whole body was contracted.
But you look more ripped than I did, I
Well,
think.
thank you.
Okay, so here's my first question.
Okay.
You prefer the West Coast to the East Coast? 3, 2, 1. Slightly agree.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No,
There's
it's
a lot
okay.
to do in California. I'm not
that's
gonna lie.
fair.
But yeah, well, it's like at least where I was now. Where I was isn't necessarily a representation of all the West Coast by any means, but where I was in Southern California, the weather's just gorgeous all day or like all year round. It's kind of like eternal summer.
Yeah.
I love the summer. So that was really appealing. And there's so many things you can do there, activity-wise, but also food-wise. Like there's so many different cuisines and
Yeah,
restaurants.
that's true.
We don't have a big diversity of that, at least in
That's
Western
true.
PA.
Not this part of the East Coast. If you go all the way to Philly, you're differently.
Or New
New
York.
York.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So
But then you get the big cities. What about LA though? Do you like LA?
not really, no.
Okay.
No, I don't know how many people really
So you like-
LA.
Like the beach?
I like where I was.
More okay.
Yeah, where I was in the country, and it's near the beach.
Now, we
It's-
were also just on the West Coast in Alaska, which is a very different West Coast vibe.
Just a bit. Slightly different temperatures from California, believe it or not.
Moderately. Yeah. Like
and that was epic.
We came back and it was 30 degrees warmer in Pennsylvania than it was in Alaska.
Literally, no, I would never have expected that coming home to Pennsylvania would feel like coming to a tropical place. But by comparison to Alaska, Pennsylvania feels warm, dude.
Because I did not know this, but Alaska actually qualifies as a rainforest.
Mm-hmm.
If you had told me that, I probably would have made sure I brought more rain gear.
Same.
And, well, you should have brought
I packed
any.
wrong. I completely. Well, I followed the packing list. The packing list says t-shirts, shorts, and maybe a couple pairs of jeans. In reality, what it should have said is only warm, like flannels and sweaters and stuff. So I was a little bit unprepared for the cold weather, but other people came in clutch.
That's fair.
So,
all right, you're number 2.
Okay, number 2 for you. Given the choice between smart people and kind people, you prefer spending time with people who are smart. 3, 2, 1.
Neutral.
Slightly agree. Okay, why neutral?
So I would say that. Actually, I don't know. I'm either neutral or slightly agree. Like, if there's like a hint of between the two, I would say neutral because.
You said between neutral and slightly agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you say a group of people, you need to have. Or this is so hard because, I mean, most smart people I know are also kind people.
Yes.
So it's hard to be like, well, if you're intelligent, you don't have a heart.
Well, I don't believe that, but I guess I'm saying if we had to reduce people to just kind of one of those qualities where they're a little bit on the dumb side, but they're kind, or they're a little bit on the smart side, but they're cold, which of those would you prefer?
Again, that's difficult for me because if you want to have a true friendship, you need to be able to be deep, and you can be deep without being intelligent.
Absolutely.
But if you want to also like rely on people for different things or like expect different things from them, they need to also be able to add 2 + 2.
Right.
Right. So that's why I'm saying I'm kind of neutral because I don't consider one more valuable than the other necessarily.
That's really good.
I do believe it's important for us to have emotion and and sympathy and compassion for other people. But if we also can't back that up like other things or like what we believe with reason, and we're only believing stuff because we feel that way or we don't want to make other people feel bad, that's not good.
Right.
So I would say I probably land more neutral with
fair.
that question.
So actually, I like that you brought that in because this does kind of apply, I think, to the spiritual life. It's like, what do you think is more valuable, truth or love or something like that? But it's like you need both.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of hard to prioritize one over the other because you can't have love without truth and truth without love. So
yeah, exactly.
Neutral's a good answer then. Okay.
All right. Number 2. You noticeably feel that you are the youngest sibling.
3, 2, 1.
Strongly agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do.
I didn't want to phrase this as you feel babied, because we don't do that as much anymore. But definitely like
I think
that
you guys
everyone
know that I'm an
swoops
independent
in
person.
but that people will swoop in and take care of kind of all your needs way faster than other people.
Yes, which has some perks. Like you guys are all very generous, and especially like at Christmas or my birthday, it was super nice growing up being like I already have older siblings who are like the age where they have jobs and they can really they can get cool gifts and stuff. So like that in that way I felt spoiled. But in other ways, it do sometimes feel a little bit like people still think of me as a little kid just because I am the youngest and you guys saw me as a little child.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's gotten better, and I think everybody in the family knows by now I'm an independent person.
Yeah. Well, living in California for 4 years helped.
Hopefully that, communicated the idea. But the thing is, like, I think with me, partly because I sometimes do crazy things, whenever I just casually mention that I do something crazy or maybe something unsafe, immediately people like react like, oh my gosh, like you shouldn't have done that. Like, like you know that's not safe, right? I'm like, yes, I know that's not safe. So like in that way, I feel like sometimes older members of the family feel the need to inform me about things that I already know because they still see me as the youngest. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, I totally understand that.
We have I love our whole family deeply, but we have a couple safety freaks in our family. Just a
believe
bit.
It at that.
Just a bit. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Okay.
You're number 3.
For you, you often daydream about being a priest. 3, 2, 1.
Strongly agree.
Strongly, okay.
Yeah. These days, it happens more and more often.
We're getting close.
I mean, 10 months to being ordained a deacon, less than 2 years to being ordained a priest. Especially this season of the like the church calendar or whatever is like the seasons of ordination. So I've been at ordinations recently and vows ceremonies, and just in conversations with people more and more, I just really wish that like I could also be able to give them the sacraments,
Right.
or like conversations with guys in the school, or being at parishes or being at Catholic Family Land, whatever it is. I just really wish I could be hearing people's confession.
Right. Some guy tells you about some struggle.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I wish I could just absolve you.
Let me tell you to go to a priest, but yeah.
Or I mean, this like the number of people who ask me to bless the Benedictine medals. Oh. It feels so bad to be like, well, I can't do that. There was actually a lady in Alaska. She's like, why can't you? I'm like, because I'm not ordained. She's like, well, aren't you a deacon? I said, no, not yet. She's like, well, then why are you a brother? I'm like, because I'm a monk. She's like, don't you have to be a deacon to be a brother? I'm like, no, I don't. She's like, she actually asked me, are you sure about that? I said, no, I'm the one who's a monk.
I've been here for 5 years. Yeah, you're right. That's a great question, lady. That's crazy.
But yeah, so I do daydream all the time, mainly about being in the confessional.
Really?
But also just like being able, doing hospital ministry last year, just be able to go and like anoint people.
Yeah.
I do think about that a lot. And I just think it's like super cool to be like the priest uncle in the family.
Yeah, that'll
like,
be fun.
I just like to, I don't know, I do daydream about pulling up in like a minivan and getting all of the nieces and nephews in it. And I get to have like a little private mass with all my nieces and nephews.
That'd be so fun.
And then go take them just like on a banger of a day. Go to movies, go get pizza, go get ice cream.
That'd be so fun,
dude. Go to like a water park.
The fun priest uncle.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
I do think about that a lot.
I love that.
That's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And it makes me think this past week when we were kayaking in Alaska, we kayaked out into the middle of nowhere to this island way away from shore.
Yeah.
And we stopped at the island, this, uninhabited little island just with seals. There were a bunch of seals around it, but other than that, there wasn't any human life there for sure. And I remember we had a little conversation like, how cool it'd be if you got out of this.
Yeah.
Or got out of our kayak, landed on the little island, and just had mass on the rocks. Like, it would have been so cool. And in a couple of years, if you go to Alaska again, you could do that.
That'd be awesome. Gnarly. I want to have mass on a mountaintop. Like that, I think
that'd be the coolest thing. You'll do it someday.
I know.
You'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay, one last question related to this. Outside of the sacraments, what priestly duty do you look forward to most?
I guess I mean it's fundamentally I think the priest's primary duties are sacramental, obviously, but I guess preaching probably.
Really?
Yeah. I like sharing the gospel with people, particularly like insights about scripture that I have had or that I've learned from school, and like the fruit of the language that helps us in understanding what Jesus means, or what St. Paul means in the New Testament or the Old Testament. So yeah, I think, and preaching and like diving even deeper in scripture. I already do that in Bible study, but being able to do it from the pulpit, and
you're already a strong public speaker. So
yeah, exactly. I think it'll be natural.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say awesome. That. All right. Number 3, you are patient with emotional people. 3, 2, 1. Slightly disagree.
Oh.
Wait, really? I did not.
Wait, why was that your guess? Why was that your guess? I'm just curious.
I just, because I thought I've heard you at times say like, gosh dang it, why can't people just like stop thinking, like stop acting out of their emotions and just think about stuff?
Oh.
And it just sounds like you get a little riled up, or that you tend to be around a lot of emotional people.
Yeah.
So that would make me infer that you're slightly, I don't know, annoyed by them.
Yeah, that's
and maybe you are, but maybe you're still patient.
Hey, maybe I'm less self-aware than I should be, because I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's something I could work on, is probably being more positive in the way I talk about people, regardless of how emotional they are. I guess when you said the question, I thought you meant when you're talking to those people or dealing with them.
Okay.
Because when I'm face to face with somebody who's like being really emotional, or they're just like kind of letting out their feelings or dumping, I tend to sympathize pretty easily.
Okay.
And I don't generally have like any negative responses on an emotional level when someone does that. But what I could work on is when I'm removed from the situation, actually still continuing to have that sympathy.
Okay.
Because sometimes it's like, in the moment I can get caught up with whoever I'm talking to, and if they're having like a rough experience and they're being a little dramatic about it, I can sympathize easily. But then afterwards, when I think about it a little bit more logically, I can be like, man, they're being over dramatic, and that's when I can feel a little impatient. But yeah,
that's fair. I would say in the moment, I definitely try to lean more towards sympathy, but there are some people, it's just like over and over and over again, it's the same thing. And no, that's not to say that there are some people who could say the same thing over and be emotional about it, and I still am very supportive and I love them very deeply.
Depending
and
on the
it will
reason
never
for their
bother
emotions,
me.
yeah.
But there are some people who it's just like there always seems to be something wrong.
Well, some people gravitate towards drama.
Yeah,
they seem to love drama in their lives.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think there's difference on like an intellectual level if I'm dealing with somebody who they're being really emotional or they just feel like life is really hard. If they've continually made decisions that have made life hard for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody, like you said, if somebody is just, their life is full of drama and, they come to you and they kind of dump out their sorrows and then, maybe there's some changes that they can make to their life to make it better, but then they don't.
Yeah,
they just keep being in the same cycle of being always in some state of drama.
Particularly
or
if it's within their control.
If it's within their control.
Not their
exactly.
fault.
Exactly. Yeah. Those kind of things. Then it's a little bit hard to sympathize after a while because you're like, you could just make some changes.
Or when people, the other thing that's sometimes difficult for me is when people make a much bigger deal out of something. Sure. It's like, okay, you have you have an hour to be upset and process, but 5 days later, if you're still as upset as you were right after the fact that happened, I'm not saying it's invalid. I'm saying I don't have strong patience because I'm not necessarily the best person.
Well, depending on the situation, it is invalid. I think. I think
it could be
the level of your sorrow and your sense of interior anguish should be proportional to whatever you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So some people act like a little bit of a bad day or being called a name by somebody is as bad as their friends dying. Like some people will turn what is actually a little thing into some whole torment, but it's you don't. Sometimes you just need to be logical,
calm, chill out,
calm down.
Take a chill
it's not
pill.
That bad. If it is that bad, it's okay to be sad, but
exactly.
If it's not that bad, don't bring everybody into your drama. Okay, so next question for you.
Okay,
you enjoy the taste of whiskey? 3, 2, 1.
Strongly disagree.
Slightly, okay.
Slightly, yeah. I think I've gotten better at it. There was a while where I tried to force myself to like it, and so I'm not saying I'm an alcoholic.
Is that college?
I would just no, it was my first 2 years in the monastery.
Okay,
just I would be hanging out with a monk,
standard
or hanging
monk
out
stuff.
with a friend,
yeah.
And for some reason, whiskey was always the drink of choice, and because I prefer pretty much if I'm going to drink it being beer, that okay, I don't really like hard liquor that much. Mm-hmm. And I've had mixed drinks, I've had tequila, it's disgusting. Vodka, I'm not a huge fan of. So I don't really
gin, right?
Gin's okay.
Or rum.
Rum, probably of any of them, I probably would drink rum the most. But again, I still never do. But so whiskey is kind of that area where okay, I'll drink it socially if everyone else or the person I'm with, that's their drink of choice. But I would never go to it of my own. I would probably never order it on my own.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to nuance my taste a little bit that there are some that are better than others. Mm-hmm. But there's also an art to drinking whiskey and bourbon.
You can definitely do it the wrong way.
Particularly bourbon. You actually, the first time you put it in your mouth, you're supposed to swish it around like mouthwash. And then after you swallow it, blow cool air over your tongue. And it activates the sensors in your tongue. So then the next time you taste it, it doesn't taste nearly as strong.
Out.
Yeah. I've done that, and then I was oh, maybe I don't utterly hate this. I just kind of don't like it. Okay. So that's why I slightly disagree.
Yeah, that's fair.
So good question. All right, this question maybe might hit a little deeper. I don't know. You believe that making money is a key indicator of success and masculinity.
Can I think for a second before we say this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
Slightly agree.
Okay,
yeah,
that's what I figured.
I think so.
Yeah. So why?
I think it's similar to other categories of life that are associated with masculinity. For example, just to go to analogy, fitness. I think that they say being a man at its essence is not about being ripped, or being super fit, and that's 100% true because the essence of masculinity is just not that. That's mm-hmm. too shallow, but. I think even though you're not less of a man just because you have no muscle or because you're smaller than other guys or things like that, I think if you don't at least try to maintain good fitness and work out to the best of your ability. Now, different people have different handicaps or different levels of health that might limit them. But if you don't try at least a little bit to maintain some fitness, you are less of a man. I think because there's
It's
something
an indicator
about
of a lack of discipline.
exactly lack of discipline and a lack of some of the courage that is supposed to be going along with just masculine virtue. Like there is a set of masculine virtues that I think a man is supposed to cultivate. And there are things that are maybe perceived as shallow, like fitness or making money or things. And so sometimes say like, oh, those don't really matter. But even though in some ways they can be shallow, I think they themselves, like at least the drive to seek out some of those good things is a reflection of deeper interior masculine virtue. So I think with money, like it's not about, like being a man is not about making a lot of money. And if one man has less money than another, doesn't mean he's less of a man. But at least there should be, I think, the ambition to seek out money, not for its own sake, but to provide for a family.
Sure.
And if you don't, especially if you're like a married and you have kids and you don't have any drive to make money and you don't want to like provide good things for them, in some ways I think that it would be fair to say that it makes you less of a man.
Yeah. Because
you're lacking the proper virtue that's supposed to correspond to being a provider.
I would agree with you on that. Neither of those instances are like the end goals,
right? But
they are clear like avenues for something else that are aspects of masculinity, like being a provider, being healthy. I think like whatever those indicators are or those examples, that we should constantly be striving to do things that if something was surprised us or came to us unexpectedly, that we could take care of it in that moment as best, that we are not totally taken off like our feet.
Right.
So that discipline, courage, zeal, we want, being a protector and a provider, all of those are learned best by these sort of seemingly maybe superficial or, virtue lacking. Not that they're vice inducing either, but just like kind of very neutral things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, sorry, real quick, just two more thoughts about that. First, to the thing you just said, like in some way they don't relate to virtue, but another way they do. And actually, like in Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, there are certain virtues that you need some wealth to actually participate in to their fullness. Like he gives the virtue of magnificence, which is basically being generous in like a exorbitant, or not exorbitant way, but in like a strong degree where you have like a lot of money to provide for people. But aside from that, there's even the virtue of liberality, which is not the same thing as being liberal. But liberalities mean being generous, and you need money, you need even some surplus money in order to be generous. But just the other thought I had is sometimes there are things I think that can show up in our lives that are symptoms of problems that we might not otherwise notice. So, for example, and the problems might be deeper than like the symptoms that we see. So, for example, if the issue or the symptom is that you're somebody who doesn't try to make much money, that might seem kind of superficial, but it might actually point to a deeper problem, which is that you maybe lack the virtue perseverance, or you lack diligence, things like that, or you in some ways like it might just be kind of lazy. So like in that way, that you should take the symptom seriously if it points to a deeper problem. I think
that makes sense.
But that's just my take. Okay, your last question is your favorite season is summer. 3, 2, 1.
Strongly agree. Okay. Yeah, dude. I love the summer. Many great reasons. 1, no school.
So true. That's so true.
Going on like 10 years of higher education, I am so done when school is out in May. Like, I don't want to see anything textbook related, classmate, professor related. I don't want to see it. So summer,
get it out of my face.
Get out. Also, you can go running outside in the summer. You can hang out with your friends at night. Bonfires are better in the evenings. Fall is a good time for bonfires too. But vacations, all of my favorite, not all, 90% of my best memories and favorite experiences growing up all happened during the summer.
Me too.
Going to Cali always happened during the summer.
Consistently a good thing, yeah. Family vacations, new experiences. I think a majority of my new experiences throughout the year I had in summer.
Yeah. Went to World Youth Day in the summer. We went to Alaska in the summer. Like, summer is just
the time when people do stuff.
The ultimate vibe.
Yeah.
I like fall too and spring pretty equally, and then winter is by far my least favorite.
Yeah.
I cannot stand winter.
I know.
I don't like the cold. I get cold very easily, so when it actually gets cold, it's kind of miserable for me.
Yeah.
I tell people here that everyone's allowed. Now, I don't really think we should be complaining about things that are outside of control anyways, but that people are allowed to complain about one season. because I really can't stand people who complain about it being too cold
Every
or
season.
too hot.
Yeah.
It's like you get one.
No,
so
literally.
I try to never complain about it being too hot because
You want
I complain
free
about it
reign
being
to complain about the cold.
Exactly.
That's super fair. Okay, aesthetically though, what would be your favorite season?
Aesthetically, probably.
Is it still summer?
Well,
Because for me, I think I
I
like
think aesthetically fall.
October and fall. I mean,
Because
October's
especially
my
here
birthday.
with the Laurel Mountains up that we can
it's
see
gorgeous.
every day. Yeah, I mean all the colors.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, your last question. You would be a vegan if it meant living past 70. So basically, the premise is you would die before you're 70 if you didn't change to veganism. But if you did now, you could live to be like 80 or 90.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Strongly disagree.
I would
thought
not
so.
be a vegan for any reason. I would rather die today than be a vegan.
That's kind of bold.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Having kind of gone through a near-death experience, I don't know about
I
that.
just went to confession, man, and it's been a good week of prayer. I think I'm ready. But okay, so I guess can I lay out the reasons we're
Yes,
praying?
please.
Number one.
This is why I asked this question, because I knew you would have a fantastic answer.
Okay, fair enough. That's a great question. I'm really glad you asked. Number one, I just despise veganism as an idea. Like I just do not like it. It doesn't participate in the fullness of what it means to be human. Second, because one of the first commands that God gave us is, well, I guess the first one was be fruitful and multiply, but he also told us
then
to
fill the earth and subdue it.
Yeah, have
And he
dominion
tells
over
Peter,
the fish of the
slaughter
sea
and
and
In
the birds of the air and over every
Acts
living
chapter
thing.
10.
Yeah, he tells Peter, slaughter and eat, and no thing is unclean that we can eat. So I think part of having dominion over things is eating meat.
Yeah. Nothing
So,
says I own you like eating something else.
that's insane. That's wild. That's
I mean, come on.
that's so
It
true.
is,
I
though.
mean, yeah, that's radical.
See a cow and you're like, do you own the cow? Yes. But when you
Yes.
eat
Let
the
me
cow.
prove it. I'm gonna make you a burger.
Exactly.
No, it's true. So that's the first thing. I think it kind of misses out on some of the mandate of humanity. Secondly, it's just not as fun. I mean, I'm sorry. No matter how hard you try,
That's
you're not
right.
going to convince me that broccoli is as good as bacon. Okay, you just can't. Don't even try.
Yep.
Thirdly, actually, I have 4 quick reasons.
Okay,
The third is I think it'd be fun to die before 70 anyway. I have this personal belief that we're approaching the end times anyway. I just can't see the world even going that long. I feel like it's going to end probably in our young adulthood or middle age. Honestly, I feel like we're approaching the end. But also, it'd be kind of cool to die at 33 anyway. That's Jesus' age.
There you
So
go.
I don't really hope to live that old anyway. But finally, if I did want to live old, it actually would probably be better for my health to eat a balanced diet or a diet that involves meat. So I think scientifically the premise that question is based on is just false. Because in fact, now more people are doing the carnivore diet, which is radically anti-vegan.
Yes.
And they have so many health benefits. Jordan Peterson has been doing that, and he's seen huge health benefits. So I just think for all those reasons, I would never want to be vegan. What about you? I want to turn it to you.
Oh, I would also never be vegan.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, 70. See, I thought about saying you won't live until you're 30.
Ooh.
I don't know if that would change it. If that might change it for me.
Really?
If I can't live past 30, if I don't become a vegan, I might become a vegan.
Mm-hmm. That's still 9 years for me. I could have a fun 9 years.
You could, but 70. If it's just set, great. Take me when I'm 70.
Exactly.
As Carlton Lasseter says he says he would rather date a vegan than do something with Sean. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Psych reference. If you know the show, great. If you don't, then I'm just spitting out just random crap.
Hopefully you do know the show because it's a fire show.
But as you once said, if you want to be awesome, be awesome. But if you don't want to be awesome, be vegan.
Yeah.
And I firmly support that statement. Having talked to Tom about his
no
one
offense
roommate,
to all vegans out there, but I don't know. We do mean offense, but we still hope you'll keep listening to the show.
Yeah.
We love you for all the other goods in
everything
your life. That's just the one thing you could
do,
work.
just
you
not
could
about
maybe
what you
change.
choose to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we had some really, really good
We
friends
love
who
you
were
for who
vegans
you
for
are,
a
just not
while.
what you do.
And I'm glad they've conformed their ways back.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom's roommate in DC, who was a vegan.
Oh my gosh, Alex.
Yeah. Tom would say when he finally ate meat, he basically was like, yep, I was depressed because I was a vegan. And now that I have meat, I'm not depressed anymore.
No, meat does actually, I think, help happiness. Whatever goes on in your brain that promotes happiness.
So I eat my vegetables. Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
Would I only eat them?
Sorry,
No.
No. But
Especially,
also,
I mean,
being vegan is even
yeah.
more radical than vegetarian. Vegetarian sounds, not terrible. I still wouldn't do it.
I could probably get around that.
But
if I
like
had
missing
to.
out on
Milk,
all the
eggs,
products of milk. Yeah, exactly.
fish.
Honey. I don't think they eat honey, do they?
Oh, probably not, because there's a product of an animal.
Exactly.
I don't know. That's an interesting thing.
I think
So-
there might be debate for that, but I think a lot of vegans don't eat honey.
That's crazy.
So there's just a lot of good stuff to miss out on.
That's sad. I'm sorry for you all.
We are deeply sorry.
Yeah. So cool. Well, that was fun. We actually
was
were pretty
fun.
good.
That was pretty
I
solid.
think we only missed on each other on one each.
Yeah.
But those are still questions I didn't for sure know the answer to.
Exactly.
I just obviously kind of knew. So if you enjoyed that, give a comment below on another question and what to either one of us and what you think our answer would be, and we'll let you know.
Exactly. And if you're deeply offended with the whole vegan thing, cry about it.
Yeah. We probably wouldn't be great friends.
Please subscribe. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you're insulted, subscribe. We're here to
Exactly.
offend.
Wow, that's a wild tactic. We should probably end ourselves now.
Okay, yeah.
But
So do that. Like,
thank
subscribe,
you.
do the thing.
Peace.
I'm Francisco. This is Nate. I'm a monkey's not. Adios.